All right, Ashwin, how's it going? Hope you're doing well.
Good. Thanks, man. Happy to be here.
Appreciate you joining us for this conversation. In terms of getting started, we've been working together since May now, right? So it's
Yeah.
almost 24, 25 weeks. Tell me a little bit about when you first started, what your mindset was, what your goals were, where you kind of were before the whole program was.
Yeah. When I first started in May, I had no clue I had no clue what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to get into the gym. I wanted to change like my lifestyle in terms of what I'm eating. I wanted to build good habits like going to the gym and making time for that in my busy schedule, and just really get into that and really kind of increase my confidence there. And yeah, that was kind of what I wanted when I first started out in May. And now, fast forward like probably 5 or 6 months, uh, I'm feeling great. I'm really happy with what we've been able to achieve together in terms of like my healthy eating, like making sure that I'm getting the right amount of protein, also being able to make time for the gym. So I think one thing that has been super helpful has been like being able to plan out my week and looking ahead, and then being able to be like, okay, you know what, I know that this thing is coming up. I Here's how I can approach it, or here's how I can make time for the gym and make time in my schedule. And then also just kind of going to the gym and training really hard and preparing myself whenever I go there to perform my best.
Yeah, man, you've come a long way, I think, since we first started, like with nutrition, with the training.
Yeah.
What did you kind of struggle with them? I know you said you didn't really know where to start. What aspect of it would you say you struggled with the most? Like, would you say like it was kind of getting to the gym, figuring out what to do, making time for that? Because I know you said you worked out a little bit in the past before you started, but it wasn't super crazy. So like, what kind of aspect like really stood out to you where it was like the biggest barrier for you to kind of get where you are right now?
There was actually three things. The first one was eating. So I had no clue like how much protein I'm supposed to have. Like when do I increase it? When do I decrease it? That type of thing. What do I? Is it okay to eat a lot of carbs? Um, how many calories should I eat? That type of thing. What are some really good high protein foods? Like stuff like that. Um, I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't know how to properly do it so that I'm not so I can be productive at the gym and also see those improvements. So I had no clue like what I was doing there. Second thing was training actually. So with training, I also like I kind of I looked at a few like workout plans, that type of thing, but I really wasn't too sure what I was like doing. Like I didn't really like with when we were working together, you gave me like a clear plan. Okay, here's like your kind of workout routine. We're gonna try this for like 1 or 2 months, which I really liked, and then us like switching it every couple months and trying different workouts, and then going back to a few old workouts and seeing like the gains after a couple months have been really good. And then the last thing was in person. I think for me, I really wanted a good in person experience, and that was a huge reason why I came to you, because literally you're like what, like 5 minutes away from my place, so very accessible. And because of that, like it was I was able to, yes, like had great video feedback, but to complement that also like really good like in person feedback, and being like, okay, let's try this a little bit more and getting a bit of a closer up look. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the in-person part of it, like when you're just starting out in the gym, it's such a huge part of like how your body is just learning to think. Like when you're a
Yeah.
little bit more intermediate and advanced, like you can kind of get things from the video feedback. I think that's what like my online coaching was for, is for someone that's a little bit more experienced. But because you're right there and like live down the street, I figured like I can give you that and I can give you the in-person experience as well, right? So I
Yeah.
think like seeing you every week, like when we first started, I know I had to go on vacation that first month that we started. So that whole first month, we literally just relied on video feedback. And when I came
Yeah.
back, we did a session before and I came back and I was like, oh shit, like you got
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
You're doing things a lot better than when we first left, right? So that was really cool to see. Um, a lot of people get started for different reasons, right? So like for me, like I was always a fat kid growing up. Like I had a lot of like I don't want to say body image issues, but like I just want to look a lot better, feel a lot better, right? What was like your kind of why as to why you started the program? Like why did you want to get jacked? What was your reason for that?
Yeah, I always I think I wanted to feel a little bit better with myself. And like I think with the gym, I've always put it off. Like I was like, maybe I'll do it in high school. Okay, you know what? I'll have time in university. I'll do it. I pushed it off for so long, and like I was kind of like, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to do it now. And so now is the perfect time. I have the time, and I'm making time for it. It's a prior. It's a really important priority in my life. Um, and then also like I wanted to improve the way that I ate. I wasn't too happy with like what I was eating, and I wanted to just make sure that I was having like a good assortment of like fruits, vegetables, high protein meals, and just finding a balance between all that food, not just heavy reliance on junk food or eating too less. So yeah, those are the two big reasons on why I reached out and why I wanted to kind of get started.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's just not being able to like telling yourself something and being able to carry out on it. That's a
Yeah,
thing that people don't realize gives them so much confidence. It doesn't have to be just working out. Like a lot of people, whether it's like I'm gonna write this test or I'm gonna do this thing or I'm gonna do XYZ,
yeah,
and you just keep putting it off. It may not seem like a big deal and the people around you don't know, but you just constantly telling yourself they're gonna do it later and just not following up on it. And then
yeah,
you finally get that done, that confidence or that spark, it's like, oh shit, I'm actually doing this now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That feels really, really good. I'm
Exactly.
glad you're able to experience that. Tell me a little bit about like the changes you kind of felt now, like whether that's your body, whether that's your strength, whether that's your confidence, whether that's like how your energy levels are. Tell me a little bit about how you feel now as opposed to how you felt maybe like 6, 7 months ago.
Yeah. So when I started, I think I felt very like not lazy, but felt very like now I feel a lot more energetic. I have a lot more energy. And even like when I first started, I was a little bit like I was still getting used to the routine of like going to the gym and feeling a little tired after, but now just full of energy after and before like going to the gym. Um, yeah, and then also in terms of like strength, I definitely a lot more yeah, like a lot more, like a lot of more kind of strength from before than after. And yeah,
Dude, yeah, I think the strength comes in like all the lifts we've been kind of working on, like bench press, all the shoulder pressing. Uh,
yeah,
leg press has been a huge one. And it's just like you're adding so much more weight than we were when we first started. It's like I think you're bench pressing like 80, 85 pounds now, something like that for reps.
yeah, 80, 85.
And when we started, it was just bar, not even the bar. We're doing like
Not
10.
even the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
it's yeah, strength has definitely come a long way. Um, what's been your like proudest accomplishment so far over the past like 6 months? What do you look back on and you're like, damn, I really did that shit. Like that's what makes you feel. That's what makes you like you say it or you think about it to yourself and you smile ear to ear. You're like, I fucking did that.
Honestly, I think I'm looking back at a lot of like I'm proud of everything, but I think for me the big one was like leg press. That one was a huge. She was like, because I remember when I started, I had like really weak legs, and so I was like, what was that 50 or 60 or something, and now I'm like at 220 or something like that, which is crazy to think I'd like almost like tripled my the weight over 6 months, which is insane. But then there have also been really other good wins like. Um, the bench press. Like I wasn't even able to do like 15 or 20, but now I'm like at 80 or 85, which is crazy. And then also just pull ups as well. That's been a very like we're kind of in that process still, but I think before like I wasn't like now I'm able to do it with like 15, but previously it was like 70 or 80 or something like that. So it's been very incremental and gradual, and I've been really happy with that process.
Yeah, I think there's huge gains inside the gym. You talked a little bit about energy and confidence. How has that impacted you outside of the gym and like the real world? When you talk to other people, do you feel something? Are people noticing things? Like, how do you kind of feel when you're outside the gym?
Yeah, when I'm feeling outside the gym, I feel confident. Like it's also been not just like obviously like I'm feeling good in my body, the way that I look, and also like dressing better. That's another thing as well, just dressing better. So just overall, that's just boosted like my confidence and feeling great in my own skin. Um, yeah, that's the big thing. And also, I have had a few people like notice, and it's been it's definitely a nice thing to hear. Yeah.
Sweet, man. What's been like, you've obviously accomplished a lot. Say there's someone, say you're talking to Ashwin from 7 months ago, or there's someone in a similar position to you, where they're kind of starting off in the gym. What's one piece of advice, or what would you tell that version of yourself who's just starting off, maybe a little bit hesitant about getting into the gym, wants to make that change? What piece of advice would you give to them?
Piece of advice. Honestly, it's been just kind of setting goals, and setting goals and just get started. It's so like I think for me the hardest part was getting started, but then after getting started and really after like maybe like 21 days, like that's after that 21 day kind of timeline, it was like a habit now, and so I needed to go to the gym. If I didn't go to the gym, I was feeling like I wasn't feeling so energized. And if I wasn't eating and making sure that I'm eating well, so hitting like those protein counts throughout the day or pre-planning my meals so I can hit that. And just, yeah, that's the big thing. Just the hardest part is just getting started. But once you get started, everything is so much easier. Um, Especially, and you'll feel a lot more better with tackling a lot of the obstacles or things that come in your way. So like, let's just say you have a lot of excessive work coming from work. That's fine. You can move your workouts and work around that. And so after I got started, things were just infinitely easier. And I just kind of you don't have to know everything right away. You don't have to be an expert immediately. You're gonna learn as you go and just kind of trust that process.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that comes from like being a beginner is like it looks like a really tall mountain to climb. Like
Mhm.
you said you don't really know where to focus on. Um, I think we did a pretty good job of sort of making that first few weeks really, really manageable. Like when you started, you're like, yeah, I have this amount of days to work out. I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, let's just keep it at like 2 workouts a week. We'll keep it really, really small. You're like, I can probably work out 3 or 4 times. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna stick to two. And
Yeah.
then we'll just focus on just putting food in, not even giving you a calorie amount. And then like slowly building upon those habits from week to week. Instead of if I just told you to do what you're doing right now, which is like track your food, track your protein, get this amount of steps per day, sleep this amount, work out this amount of times, here's a routine. And I told you to do that on day one, it probably would have been really, really overwhelming. So
Yeah, very overwhelming.
just kind of building up to that process is something like for you, I'm really glad you trusted that process in the beginning because a lot of people have been like, what the fuck? I'm paying this much money and this guy's just getting me to do like this much shit. It's like, no, it's a building up process, right? Like you can't just, if you're level one, you can't just expect to do a level 100 task. You have to work
Yeah.
to it, right? So really grateful you're able to trust that process and it's brought us so far in terms of where we are now. Um, what aspects or what was the most underrated thing about the whole fitness journey to you? Like you probably heard a little bit about nutrition, probably heard a little bit about training. What kind of really opened your eyes as to something you didn't really think about, but something that's made a really big difference in your fitness journey?
It was actually like recording videos. I never like even like the online coaching. Like I didn't. I was like, if you would ask me in third year, I'd have been like, no, like I don't like how can that happen without the in person aspect? Um, but like surprisingly, it's been very helpful. Like I remember when we headed out to Sri Lanka in our first month, I was a little bit skeptical at first, and then after like I was seeing like the feedback by like me sending it consistently and regularly. I was able to get like good feedback immediately, apply that onto my next workout, and then like also like rewatch that video or rewatch that explanation of what I need to do differently before my workout, and then actually implementing those feedbacks. So that's been very helpful. and surprisingly, it's been like really, it's allowed me to kind of like eat, like look at yourself and be like, okay, I need to do this a little bit more for my next set, and that type of thing.
Yeah, and I think you're at the point now where you, before you even send me a video, you probably watch it back, and you probably have an
Yeah,
idea of what I'm gonna say about the video before I
yeah,
even do it, right? And
yeah,
like you said, that's one of the hardest parts about in-person training. You can't watch yourself when you're doing. If you're watching yourself while you're doing the exercise, you're probably not pushing yourself very hard, right?
yeah,
So being able to watch that video back, it's like, oh, this is how my body is moving in space, and I can kind of relate it to how my body is actually moving when I'm doing it. So that's one of the things I think. Even with myself, I still take videos of myself, me training, and send it to my
yeah,
coach and just watch it myself, right? So that's a huge underrated aspect. I didn't even think about that. That's a great answer, actually.
yeah.
Um, in terms of the entire coaching experience, what surprised you the most? Like, what part of the coaching experience were like, damn, this was really, really helpful, or like just stood out to you most about the entire sort of coaching experience?
I think the one thing was just planning ahead. It was like there have been so many times where it's like, for example, like literally this week, I was like, it's Navratri. I can't have any of my non-vegetarian like foods that I usually have on a daily basis. How am I gonna do? How am I gonna get through this period? And I remember just being like, okay, well, obviously there's like other food options you're gonna have to rely on. So probably a protein shake, 2 scoops, 60 grams of protein, maybe Greek yogurt in the morning, paneer for like lunch, uh, and all these sort of things. So just looking ahead was really really helpful, and then like I think for me what really works for like what I really like is having like a consistent kind of routine schedule that I have planned out and I'm following and sticking to it, and that's really helped me. So by being able to see like things ahead of time before they actually happen, and then I don't actually go to the gym or I screw up from the food side, like that's been really really helpful.
Yeah, that's something I try to prioritize a lot of my clients is like instead of just kind of letting them go into the week, it's like, okay, what does your week actually look like? What days
Yeah,
are you going to be in the office? Or like what days is like things gonna happen where you shouldn't expect it? And that way we can plan around it. And I feel like a lot of people kind of go into the week and they're like, they just go in blind. They're like, I'll get X amount of workouts in and I'll do it whenever. And then things
yeah,
pop up and you're like, oh shit, you caught with like your pants down and you don't get anything done by the end of the week, right? So I think that's something you've done a really, really great job of one, not only scheduling, but also communicating with me and kind of working together to like be like, bro, if I'm doing this here, is this okay to do this here? Or like, when can we get this in? Or like even scheduling your meals. I think that's something we've worked really, really well on is just like, I'm having trouble getting in food. So I'd be like, maybe you should add a little bit more to your breakfast, or like maybe you should try and get some food on the train, right?
yeah.
Like things like that out has been like really, really instrumental. I'm okay with you being brutally honest here. You can tear me apart. If there's one part about the coaching aspect that you could change or that you can make better, what would you say?
Oh, I already told you. I think I've told it was the videos on the actual app, which is what you've been doing recently, which is I've been really happy with. I remember that was the one thing when I first started. I remember I was like, bro, like this random dude is telling me some different things, and like what Kajun is telling me like who like which one do I follow, like, or maybe the workouts may be slightly varying. So I'd be like, who do I follow? Like, am I even doing this correct? Like, what the fuck am I doing? But like recently, like I think over like the 3 to 4 months, like with experience, like I got better with it. I kind of knew what the workouts were. But I think recently we started doing a few newer workouts, and I was able to see your videos and you just doing it, and it was kind of like having you in the gym in person. And so I could just watch it. I can hear your voice. I can hear the advice and the tips and the things to watch out for when I'm doing the workouts, and then just actually implementing them when I'm doing the workouts. So yeah, that was the one thing, and you're addressing it.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, there's actually this like NPC white blue shirt guy who is in all the train rats videos that demonstrates it. And frankly, he doesn't do the greatest job. So I have been slowly replacing all of his shitty videos with videos of me actually explaining the exercises. So things are getting a lot better, right? So things should be a lot smoother going forward, which is good. Any final words you have to anyone that may be either one considering coaching or two even just like getting started on the fitness journey what would you have to say to them?
Get started, just get started and really kind of set goals for yourself or like especially when you're starting out, something that's super rewarding is seeing yourself grow. Definitely take time sometimes like to look back at your journey, not from like a week ago or a month ago, but like 2 or 3 months ago or like 5 to 6 months ago. And then when you see that progress, it just kind of motivates you. Um, Another thing is when early on when you're starting, definitely like be in like try to get yourself involved in an environment where you see other people very motivated. So for me, like I remember I attended like yours and Ronit's like calls, and I remember asking a bunch of questions. I did that like maybe 2 or 3 times when I first started out. I remember I'd be like so lazy to go on a walk, but then attend that, and then I'd be like, okay, let's go for a walk, and let's not be lazy and that type of thing. And also just kind of keep you're getting better. You're getting better each week, whether it's 1% or 10% or whatever, and just really kind of be motivated by seeing those gain by being motivated by seeing those gains or like that small little progress. And even if it's like 1 week you're doing the same as last week, that's fine. Next week will be more, and that type of thing. So just keep being motivated by that and goal driven.
That's fucking amazing, bro. Great tips. Thank you so much. Appreciate you trusting me, trusting the process.
Yeah,
We're
man.
we I feel like we're just getting started though. Like shit is
Yeah,
just going off. So glad you took the time out today. Um, hope you have a fucking amazing rest of your day and thank you for hopping on, man.
yeah, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for everything.
Let me fucking stop recording.